Hello and welcome to my studio. We are going to continue with our oil painting. We started out last week with our background of cadmium yellow medium. We're doing the fat over lean technique. That first layer was very thin. We applied some solvent to our brush and used some very crisscross horizontal strokes and brought that color on down, covered the edges. We took a palette knife and did our tree. We mixed our brown with permanent alizarin crimson and sap green, and then we took a 2-inch brush and started with the foliage of the tree. So I have my palette here, and I have my paint left over from last week, and I covered it up with plastic, and then if I need to add some more, I'll do that as well. So I wanted to continue maybe with some palette knife techniques, maybe with some trees in the background. I want to work on this tree some more though. So I'm going to take a little bit more of my time and work on that today. So I'm going to I still have a little bit of sap green left. I want to get some yellow in there. So I'm going to take some of that yellow that I had left over from the background. This might be a fall scene, although we are in springtime. So I think I'm going to get some of the yellow on my brush. I'm going, oh yes, it's nice and wet. It did not dry at all. I'm going to just get a little bit of solvent, not a lot. I don't want it dripping wet because if I do that, it'll drip on my canvas and I don't want that. I just want enough to be able to make the paint viscous. And you can use a paper towel or a cloth that you only use for oil paint to get the excess out. So I've dampened my brush with my solvent, not water. We're not using water here at all. And I'm going to dip my brush right into that paint. I'm just going to use everything that was left. Well, maybe not everything, but I'm going to use a lot. Well, yeah, I think I am going to use everything. I'm going to use a lot that was left on my palette from the background so as to not waste paint. And remember, I have no idea what this looks like or what it's going to look like. I just have a plan. But I do know that I want, okay, I like that. That brings it out more. That's giving me more of a three-dimensional feel. And it's hiding some of those branches back there. I want to see some of them, but not all of them. Some of this has some of this has dried from last week. So I'm going to, and then when you reconstitute that solvent on there, it might reconstitute that paint from last week if it wasn't fully dry. So I'm just going to throw some of that in. I actually like that. I'm not going to do too much more with that. I like this a lot. I don't like this, so I'm going to make that kind of go away. I made it kind of dirty looking, but we'll figure that out. And I'm going to go here. I'm just kind of highlighting places that I had that. Now I'm going to leave that alone because, well, wait. I want one little spot. I think I want one little spot right there. And then I'm going to leave that alone because I like that. Looks very Japanese. Now, what I want to do is maybe put some trees in the background and then come back with maybe some of the leaves that are falling. I don't know, maybe some light is filtering down through those leaves. Let's see what we can do here. So I think I want to take my palette knife and I'm just going to take my diamond-shaped palette knife. I'm going to pick up some of that brown that I mixed from last week. That was permanent alizarin crimson with the sap green, and it made a brown. And I think I don't have a lot left, so I think I might have to make some more. Yeah, I am going to have to make some more. So I'm going to make this same brown. So I'm going to I got a little bit of sap green left on my palette, so I need a little bit of my permanent alizarin crimson. Red and green make brown. Or red, yellow, and blue make brown. So if you don't have any brown, all you need is red, white, black, yellow, and blue. Red, yellow, and blue, white, and black. All right. And if you have dried paint on your palette, I do have a paint scraper. You can get these anywhere. Any craft store, any hardware store. And be careful because you have to slide a razor blade in there. But this scrapes dried paint off the palette. I'm going to do that before I put more on here. I'll find a spot that's dry. You have to be really careful. And don't hold it up like I'm about to do. I'm just doing this so you can see it on the video. But lay your palette down flat. Let's see. I think, no, that's not dry. This is dry. So you would lay your paint down flat, and I'm not going to do it because, well, actually, this little piece is coming off. So you would just scrape it off and just throw that away. But do it on a flat surface and always scrape away from you. Don't scrape towards you. Because that blade could get stuck on a piece of dried paint and it could just, bounce back and cut. You don't want to cut yourself. So be careful with that. Okay, if the paint is still wet, you want to just, if you can save it. I would use as much of the paint as you can. I would not throw it away. If you still have a bunch of paint left and you have another palette, make a background for another painting. But you cannot use water with oil paint. You have to use solvent. But if there's extra paint, get a dry paper towel and scoop up most of the paint and then put a little bit of solvent on your paper towel and then you would wipe it like that. But I would use as much of the paint as I could on an actual painting instead of throwing it away because oil paint is very expensive. So I'm going to take my permanent alizarin crimson, and I already have some sap green on here. So only squeeze out what you need. You don't want to just put a whole bunch of paint on your palette. You don't even know if you're going to use it. Only squeeze out what you need at the time. So I'm going to take some of this sap green and mix it with the permanent alizarin crimson. I'm going to do this with I'm going to show this to you. Some of my paint is dripping in through this hole in my palette and it's getting all over my hand. So let me just kind of cover my thumb up while I do this. So let's see. I took some permanent alizarin crimson and some sap green, and I'm just taking my palette and I'm smushing, smooshing, mashing, mixing, like if it's a butter knife and peanut butter. And you just kind of like scrape it back up and scoop it back down. Just keep mixing. I'm just going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And that's a little bit too red, I can tell. So I'm going to get a little bit, I used up all the green that I had, so I'm going to get a little bit more green. You can tell if it's too red or too green, and that's too red. So I know I need a little bit more green. Just a little bit. And then we'll go from there. And that'll probably cover the rest of my trees in my background. So again, I took some of my green there. I'm going to get a little bit at a time. And I'm just mixing that. And it's not running. I don't use the solvent until I need the solvent with oils. With watercolor, obviously, you have to use the water immediately. Acrylic, probably sometimes the same. But I can hold this up and none of this is going to run. Unless I had a bunch of solvent, which I don't. All right, that might still be a little bit too red for me, but for the sake of time, I'm just gonna go on. If it's too red, I'll see it on the canvas and we'll move on. I'll add some more green. All right, so I'm gonna just, let's see, what do I want here? I want some trees in the background. I'm gonna put some paint on the back of my knife because that's the part where I'm gonna apply. I'm going to slide this to the front. I might hold it. I'm looking at my reflection here because I'm so close to do my video that I can't really back away. But if you have room, you want to back away from your painting to see where you want what. So I want some trees in the background. I don't know how I want them yet. They need to be a little bit bigger. I'm just kind of blocking them in. Different sizes. I don't know. This is just a sketch. I'm sketching on the canvas right now. And then when you run out, just get another little roll of paint on the back of your canvas here. I want this one to be kind of tall. And let's see. You want to be specific about that center trunk, but the rest of it you can kind of play around with. We know that things in the background, things in the distance are smaller. Things that are closer to us are bigger. Yes, I'm going to make these touch the ground. That's not important right now. I'm just kind of blocking in where I want what right now. I want it kind of faded away behind this tree. We don't know what's back there. There could be a trail behind this tree. We don't know. Another grove. We don't know. I want some little saplings over here maybe. And it doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to come back in with foliage, so it's okay. I don't think I'm going to put anything over there. I'm not feeling that right now, so I'm going to leave that alone. So I'm kind of looking at my reflection. I think I want one more. Maybe here. Yeah, I think I like that. Okay, so those are the trunks of my trees in the distance. Okay. Now, this is what I'm going to do. I want my fan brush. If y'all have ever experienced a fan brush, it is the most wonderful thing in the world. Let me show you a fan brush. So a fan brush looks like a fan. It is the coolest thing to use for trees. So what you do is it's shaped like a fan, but you're going to use it. You're going to use the tip of it. So it's like, it's going to give you a vertical mark. Fan brushes are also very good for clouds. Oh, I didn't think about putting some clouds in the background. I probably should have done that first, but if I have room, I might be able to sneak one in over here. But it would be subtle. I think I want it subtle. Okay, yes, fan brushes are just wonderful. Now I need to decide on my color. So before I get too happy, let me figure out what do I want these paintings, what do I want these trees in the distance to look like? So we're in the same grove. You see that we see that the trunks are pretty much the same color, so they might be the same type of tree. I think right now I want a dark green because they're in the distance. You can't make out all this detail because they're a little bit further back. So I want to get a little bit more of that. You want to continue the color because if it's the same grove of trees, the same type of trees, you want to keep that same color on your palette. So I want to get a little bit more sap green, but it's going to be a little less green than this and more brown, probably. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm going to squeeze out some more sap green on my palette. Sap green is like an army green kind of. I'm going to mix that with the brown that I have here. So let me show you what I did. Let me move my fan brush. So I squeezed out some more sap green here, and I still have some of that brown here, but I'm going to mix this in a different place because I might need some of that brown here without it being tainted with the sap green. So I'm going to take some sap green. Let's see, I want a lot. I want half of that. I just squeezed out a blob. And now remember, I had paint on my knife, so that sap green is tainted now because it has brown in it. So just remember that. And I'm going to take some of, how much brown do I need? You kind of got to look at your painting to eyeball it to see how much. I think I'm going to need about maybe, let's see, that's a little bit, maybe that much. We'll see. So I'm going to start a new area here that's more, it's going to be more green than brown. Because I added the brown to the green, but I had more green. That might be kind of dark, but I don't know. So I'm going to get my fan brush and check. Now, I'm going to this brush is dry. I haven't used this brush in a while. So I'm going to dampen it with some solvent and then take the extra out. So just like you would be painting with water, with watercolors or with acrylic, I'm going to dampen it with solvent and then take the extra out because I don't want it totally completely dry. It has to blend a little bit. So I have my solvent down here with the lid on. I'm going to dip my brush just to wet the bristles, take the extra out. I'm going to use that same cloth I had that I use only for oils and take all that extra out. So remember, the solvent for oils has oil in it. So, you know, if you've ever cooked with oil, you know, it doesn't completely dry out. It's still oily. So I'm just going to dampen that. There's still oil in there. And if you don't believe me, you can like put it on some paper or something and you can still see that it's damp. It's damp with solvent and not water. So that's just to make the paint flow a little bit better if the paint is really thick. So I'm going to take my fan brush and I'm just going to dab it. Let me show you what I'm doing. Since this is solid, I can, well, not solid, but since it's not so runny, I can hold it up and show you. So I'm going to take my brush. Here's my mixture of sap green and brown. I'm just going to like just dab it because I'm just going to dab the part that I need. I don't need the whole brush covered up. I just need the part where I'm going to be touching the canvas. So I'm doing this palette just like I'm going to do it on the canvas. So I got a bunch of paint loaded up in this brush. All right, so I'm going to, you start at the top. Whenever you're doing trees, you want to start at the top and work your way down, depending on what kind of tree. So these are going to look like, I don't know, those evergreens, kind of like a Christmas tree type of thing. You start out small and get wider. I want to start with this one. I don't know why. So I'm just going to, all right, that's not enough paint. And it's too brown. So I'm gonna go, that I already see that's too brown. It's the same as my trunk. So I need to make that more green. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave this alone. And I'm just going to come over here in my sap green that I had and just load it up. Because there wasn't enough on the brush. And it wasn't green enough. So I'm going to start with at the top. All right, that's still too dark. I'm going to take some of this yellow, cadmium yellow medium that I had. I'm just going to get some of that on my brush. See how it lightens up that green? I'm just going to get all of that. Is it enough? I don't know. Let's find out. Nope, not enough. So I'm going to use, this is why you should use up all your, I'm going to use up all this paint. I'm just going to use it all up. I'm going to get all that yellow, because that green is just too dark. All right, that's a little bit better. Now, I'm going to tap. It's mixing with the brown, so you're going to have to redip. Now, I'm going to start on these other trees. They're all going to blend together. You're not going to be able to see which one starts where. Don't mash it too hard because you're going to lose that horizontal look for the tops of those trees. Well, now I need more green. And now that I found out that that was too dark, I'm going to need more of the cadmium yellow medium. I did not know that when I was starting, but I do now. So I'm going to get some and put that as my backup. And when you squeeze out your paint, you want to put it in a place where it's not going to pick up any other color because it'll taint the color inside the tube. So I want to put it in a clean spot so it doesn't pick up any paint from my palette, because especially if it's white, it'll mess up or taint the color in your tube. So I got a nice new batch of cadmium yellow medium because I ran out. You want to be frugal with your paint. Only use what you need at the time. And I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to pick up some more of that yellow because it's mixing with the brown. So I'm not going to be ashamed of the yellow. And then I'm going to get a little bit more of that green. And then I'm going to go to town again with my dabbing. So I'm just going to dab. I need more yellow. Way more yellow. Because once I start doing, there we go. Once I start doing all of this, it's going to keep mixing. And then it'll still get darker and darker and darker and darker and darker. All right, so let's start with this tree. I need more green. I'm not doing strokes. I'm doing taps. And I'm just going to the next tree. And I need to bring this all down to the bottom. I haven't done it yet because I'm just kind of tapping my way. I need some more green. You'll see what you need when you apply it. I don't want to start with that one yet. I'm going to bring this all the way down to the ground. I'm going to put some more green. All right, so I was being shy with my green, but I see right now I'm going to need a whole lot more. So what's happening and what's working for me is the green and the cadmium yellow medium, but this is starting to mix. So I need some more yellow and I need some more. I have yellow on my palette. I need some more green because I was being shy with that, and now I need to squirt some out more. Okay. Getting some more green. And all I needed was just that little bit of solvent in my brush. All right, so now I'm gonna go for, where was I? I need yellow. I want yellow and green right now. I don't need any more brown because the brown that's in the trunks is still mixing together. So let's just, okay, that's too much green. So, okay. And I put yellow on one side and green on the other. So I want some more yellow because I need that to pop out. And I'm not going to mix too much. I'm going to leave it alone if it starts mixing too much. I need some yellow down here. And this is fat over lean because this is mostly paint straight out of the tube over the top of that thin layer back there. I'm going to put a little bit dark here. I'm going to get darker as I get to the ground. I need to pick up some of that brown there. Let's go straight brown now. Yeah, there we go. I like that. Now I'm looking at my reflection. I'm going to pick that up here, and I want a little bit more, not brown, I want a little bit, yeah, I do need a little bit more brown here. Okay, that's working. And I want a little bit more green here. Oh yes, lovely. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on all these trees, basically. And this is kind of starting to lose definition in this area. So what I would do is come back maybe with a few touches of green. But let's start. I want this one to kind of be, nice. Like I don't have to do so many taps and make the leaves more spread out. Like that. And I use more green and not a lot of yellow on that one. I do want a little bit more up there. Okay. So maybe some of the leaves have fallen off of that one. It's taller. You can see more of the trunk. I like that. I'm digging the green here. Oh yes, this is lovely. And I can put more green, like, I want more green in this one and more yellow in that one. That way you can distinguish from one tree to the next. I'm going to pick up some of that brown, and it's going to come on down. I'm going to pick up some of this yellow now because it's getting down here. I want a lot of yellow in one spot. Maybe here. Okay, and then you can come back in and define that a little bit better. So I want some green because I got a big blurb of brown over here. And I want a lot of yellow on this side. Why? I don't know. I'm just feeling that. I'm going to mix it with this ground here. Not mix, blend. So now it's kind of nondescript, and then you have to go back in with some more highlights to make you figure out which part is trunk, which part is leaf, which part is green, which part is brown. I'm going to come back in with some brown, I'm sorry, green here, right here. This one needs more. I know I was letting that stay loose, but it needs a little bit more. Just a little bit. Okay. And then if you lose too much of your trunk, you can come back in with a liner brush on top of that and make those trunks a little bit more distinct. And remember your side over here. Okay, so I'm just gonna, I need something here. It's all mixing together. I'm gonna do just a bunch of green. And if it starts mixing together, you still can't get it right, leave it alone and then come back. I just need some definition in there because it's too jumbled up. So I'll come back to that in a minute, and then I will get that other side. Yes, fan brushes are lovely for trees and clouds. I'm just going to go for green here. Now I'm just going to go for green, and then whatever else I need to do, I'll just come back and add on top of that. Because it's going to mix with that brown. All right, so I need a lot of green because it's mixing with the brown. And that brown was thick, remember, from my my palette knife. And that's, you want that to go behind the tree, but you can come back on the top of that tree to make it look like it's in the front. So let me get a little bit of yellow. Just a little bit. Because these are in the distance. I want some green because now that brown, I'm sorry, that green mixed with that brown and I'm losing my green. So you get the point. I want a little bit of yellow, right. And I haven't cleaned my brush yet. I'm just putting paint on top of paint. On top of paint. Now I need some more green. And that's about the end of my green. So it's probably bringing me to a point. I need something right here because there's too much yellow right there. Okay. So let me show you really quickly what I meant by... and you know what? Let me get some of this brown and you can see where my my trunks went into the ground, and that's not cool. All right, so let me show you what I meant by the liner brush. So if you lost too many of your trunks, get a little skinny, thin, long brush. This is not the best liner brush. This is too short. A liner brush is usually very thin and very long. So, but this is what I have right now, and I'm gonna take my solvent. You probably want a little bit more solvent on your brush, not dripping, but a little bit more so that that paint will flow. And I'm gonna dab it on my palette just in case I need a little tad more. And I'm gonna take that brown that I had. I still have that. It's over here, and I'm going to just roll on my brush in that brown, but it's a little bit wetter because I got more solvent on my brush. And then we're going to stop for today. So I'm running close on time. So if you lose your branches, I'm sorry, your trunks or even your branches, you can just come back in there. You don't want it fully solid. Just come back in there and just give them a hint of where those branches or those trunks would be. You know, just a little bit. Just a few little spots here and there. If you lose that. And then you can kind of make some teeny little small ones. Don't make them too distinct because this is in the background, remember? This is way in the distance. So you can come back in and give a hint of where those trunks were. And just leave it alone. You don't want to do too much. But they need to be darker than the rest of it. And it's going to start picking up some of that other paint. So if it's not dark enough, you want to do that. So I'm going to stop there. And then... I don't know. What I need to do is come back with my ground here, make that a little bit darker. So that would be my next place I would go with that. Oh, and remember, I still have some brown left on my brush, so I can just take that. I'm sorry, not my brush, but my palette knife. I can just take that and spread that and just pick up some of that, whatever's left. If you need some more definition in there, and you can spread that all around like that. And that will push it, that will push those trees back and make this foreground pop out to the front. And then you can be, you know, I would get more distinct over here, obviously. We have more time to work on that. So those are just a couple of techniques and what you can use with your fan brush, different brushes, different marks that you make to get the look that you want. And I think we'll stop there.